Hello, welcome to San Marino, a country of 33,000 people with a land area of just 61 kilometers. The most popular sport in the country is football, and yet they are considered as the worst football team in the world. They rank 208 in FIFA ranking, or in other words, lowest. Lower than doubly landlocked country Liechtenstein, Angola, a country with just 15,000 people, and countries like British Virgin Islands or US Virgin Islands. When Latvia drew to San Marino in 2011 in their home, they sacked their coach. Not only this, it was regarded as the worst day in the history of Latvian football. And if you look at some of their matches, you may not put this one on top. These are San Marino's last 3 match results. They last scored on 18th November 2022 against St. Lucia, and that is also the last time they did not lose a match and ended the game with a 1-1 draw. And after that, but San Marino actually has a lot of popularity worldwide. Even the biggest San Marino fan account on Twitter is run by a Dutch person, and it's not wrong to say that they are second or third favorite national team of so many people around the world who are patiently waiting for San Marino to win a match. And despite being so poor on the pitch, their local fans do their best to support their team. And considering how good their team is, they are a good sport and enjoy every moment of their country, and small moments like a good pass, a good run, a save, and if they score a goal, it's no less than a victory. They actually have a large number of supporters for the national team, and in general, people do love football in the country and are passionate about the game. But still, why they are so bad? I mean, there are literally so many countries where they like other sports and even don't care about football at all. The main reason is obviously their size and population. San Marino is a tiny country, a very tiny country. They have a population of just 33,000 people. Just for context, Wembley has the capacity of 90,000 people. And mainly because of the population, they don't have enough professional footballers, even in their first team, with majority of them having some other professions. But they're still amateurs, and even professional players are playing for the clubs that can hardly compete with lower division clubs of the Italian league. And while the country has a system for youth development, due to such a smaller population, it's hard to find and develop talents like other nations. The country has its own league, but none of those clubs have their own stadium, and the quality is obviously very low. They are pretty weak side, but apart from that, they're still part of Europe. Because of this, they tend to face more difficult opponents than they would have if they were in situation of a country in North America or Asia or some other parts of Africa. For example, Cook's Island is a country of just over 17,000 people, and they still ranked 187th, 21 points above San Marino. You have to credit them for their efforts in becoming a better football team, but also the teams they face are mostly other small islands and countries like Australia or New Zealand, who are good side, but nowhere near the level of European giants San Marino get battered by in international friendlies or qualifiers. The country also has one of the most strict laws when it comes to citizenship. To be a San Marino citizen, you can either be a citizen by birth, or if you are not born in San Marino, but one of the parents is from there, plus you are in country for at least 10 years. In case of those without origin, they have to live 30 years in the country to become citizens, and San Marino also does not have dual citizenship. So you have to renounce other country's citizenship to become a San Marinese citizen. No specific relaxation or special rules are in place for sports persons. But despite how poor their team is, they still have produced some really talented players, and I have not said this part with any exaggeration, or complete exaggeration at least. The first on the list, Massimo Bonini. Fair to say the biggest name in San Marino football history, and arguably their greatest ever player. And not just their icon, but he was also one of the best midfielders of his time and a key player for Juventus, playing alongside legends like Dino Zoff and Platini, and won everything from league titles to domestic cups to European trophies. He also had a chance to play for Italy's national team and could have also lifted the 1982 World Cup when he was playing for Juventus. But he decided to wait and play for his homeland, San Marino. Because San Marino was not officially recognized by UEFA, he had to wait till 1990 to play his first official match for San Marino. San Marino played its first official match in November 1990 against Switzerland. Bonini was 31 at that time. He retired from club football in 1993, unless you want to count this, but continued to play for San Marino till 1995 and made 19 appearances in that time. San Marino lost first 8 matches and scored just 1 goal, which came in their third match against Romania. Despite losing, the goal was a historical moment for them and a big reason to celebrate for its fans. But again, losing streaks continued till 14 games, after which they experienced their first draw against Turkey. During Bonini's time, San Marino reached their all-time highest rank, 118th, but after Bonini retired from national team, what followed was a decline all the way down except for a few memorable moments. Next, Andy Silva, the man who scored in San Marino's only win in its history and San Marino's all-time top scorer with 8 goals in 73 matches. And if you think 8 goals is very low, their second highest goal scorer has just scored 2 goals. And the country has scored a total of 28 in 202 matches. His father was Italian and mother San Marinese, which means he was eligible to play for both nations, and yet he chose to play for San Marino. Not saying he would have made it to Italy's national team and could have become the favorite player of Arrigo Sacchi, but he did have options, just putting it on here. But Andy Silva was still a decent player and had played for many Italian clubs including Sassuolo and Verona. While his talent or footballing success was nowhere close to Bonini's, he had enjoyed more goals, draws and even the only win of San Marino. The record he held of the top scorer of San Marino with 8 goals also put his stature at the very top in San Marino's football history. Simoncini, their current goalkeeper, and might have been the most talented player coming from San Marino after Bonini. In the early days of his career, he was a highly rated teenager and was playing for Modena in Serie B. But at the age of 19, he suffered a horrific injury from a car incident. His pelvis and left elbow were shattered and he spent 4 months in hospital. He recalled that moment, saying, "My life was in danger. I was told I might not be able to play football ever again." His career at the top level was over, but against the odds, Simoncini recovered and was able to return to playing nearly 2 years later. Although he was never able to get back to his previous form, at least he could continue to play. He became national team goalkeeper in 2006 and has been playing in San Marino for different clubs. He would surely go down as the player with the biggest what if among San Marino football fans. But for him, more important is the joy to be able to play the game. When he came back to the net for the first time since injury, San Marino lost to Germany by 13-0. But Simoncini remembered it as one of the happiest moments of his life. "Even though I had to pick the ball out of the net 13 times, it was one of the happiest moments of my life." Simoncini said, "I put behind me 18 months of agony after being told I might not play again. To be part of such a game was simply unforgettable." They have still managed to have some memorable events, top of which is obviously their only win. They registered their first and only win on 28th April 2004 against Liechtenstein in their home stadium Stadio Olimpico. And guess who scored the goal? Obviously the great Andy Silva. After the final whistle, the crowd cheered and celebrated the result like winning a trophy, but for the right reasons. This result might be their biggest ever achievement. Despite a friendly, this match holds very special importance among San Marino fans, considering they are still waiting for another win since then. Even though they did not win another match in their entire history, or a single win in an official match, they have had some moments to cherish. When San Marino played England in Wembley for the first time, they lost 6-0, but was still a moment of pride for them, as most of their players were amateurs and they got a chance to play in one of the most iconic stadiums in world football, against some of the best football players in the world. When they drew to Latvia and that too away from home, it was massive for them, as they lost 36 consecutive matches before that, and it was the first time they did not lose away from home. One of the most iconic and famous moments of San Marino football team came in 1993 when San Marino scored the fastest goal in a World Cup qualifier match. When David Galtieri scored in 8.3 seconds, taking advantage of a mistake from English side, this record stood for the next 23 years. The match ended 7-1, obviously San Marino conceded 7, but this match was more embarrassing for England, not because of the first goal by San Marino, but because of the implications of this result. England needed to win the match with a margin of 7 goals to qualify for the World Cup, and San Marino's 1 goal was enough to stop them from going to the World Cup. In 2012, they lost to Malta, but was still a memorable match as they managed to score 2 goals, ending the match with 3-2. A goalless draw against Estonia was a joy to watch for San Marino fans, as their goalkeeper made many amazing saves to save the day. In 2019, San Marino lost to Gibraltar and Liechtenstein in the Nations League group. But when they faced them again, they avoided any goals from either of the sides and managed to get a goalless draw from both matches. It was the first time in their history that they did not lose 2 consecutive matches. The reaction of Dante Rossi says it all. In 2016, when Germany played San Marino, Germany beat them by 8-0, but the bigger headline was comments made by Thomas Müller when he questioned the point of such uneven games and raised concerns about the injury of their players. San Marino retreated back, and they issued a 10-point response explaining why this match was not useless, and some of them were just too good. In September 2018, Franco Varela was appointed as head coach, whose first point of business was ensuring discipline and professionalism in the squad. He brought many young players into the first team and tried to instill a sense of identity and belongingness for representing their country. Although the results did not change much, neither did they start winning, but Titani were now playing with more intensity and players were not just there to enjoy the match with big players, but giving their all till the final whistle. Another idea which could be helpful in the long term was using the same tactics for the youth team as being used in the senior team. Under him only they won 2 consecutive matches without losing for the first time in their history. And then COVID happened in 2020, which at least I believe also damaged a lot of these efforts of Varela. Nonetheless, the spirit, mentality and a relatively better system have been clearly visible in the team. He left his post in 2021 and was replaced by Fabrizio Costantini, who is their current manager. The country from its side has been making some thoughtful steps to improve the national team. They have been promoting futsal too, and while they rank last there also, there is a belief that with more support, players and better infrastructure, things will get better. Out of 15 clubs, 12 have their futsal team, and they've also built a futsal arena. They are also building a new football stadium to reduce dependency on their main stadium, Stadio Olimpico, which is used for almost every official match. Their current coach, Fabrizio Costantini, already has equalized the record of highest draws under a San Marino coach with 2 draws, and that too in just 16 matches, in fewer matches than any other coach since 1990. So I believe that should be considered a big positive. In 2021, San Marino Football Association, or FSGC, issued its first strategic plan running from 2021 to 24, where they listed 5 key areas of development. UEFA has also helped in building of new stadium and a futsal complex through its funding and in facilities for disabled supporters, good governance and elite youth development. The coaches in recent times have also started emphasizing on creating more attacking threats and practicing more on scoring goals in training. The team also has a significantly bigger fan base on social media, even bigger than the entire population of San Marino, thanks to some journalists and social media pages, especially this guy. Despite a Dutch, he really is the face of San Marino football team on Twitter, and his follower count is an example of how many people love San Marino, even if they are from other countries. San Marino also has a B team, which actually has been producing better results than the main team. They even had an unbeaten run of 7 matches, so that's also hope for future with better youth setup for football in the country. San Marino has also moved from 211 to 208 in the FIFA ranking, and it does not matter that it's because of the reason that American Samoa, Tonga and Samoa haven't played any match in the last 4 years, so they are not in the FIFA ranking list anymore. As the San Marino fan account says, for San Marino, the only way is up. Can they ever be significantly better? They can obviously try, but honestly they can't make substantial jump from their current situation, at least in the short run. It's not a club football where one wealthy owner or smart signings can change your fortune. This is a country of 33,000 people. Even for gradual improvements, they need a lot of time. And no matter who becomes their coach, you can't just turn amateur players into professionals. And you need more regular professional players, more talent to develop and choose from, which leads us to talk about some of the areas where they have been working on but can do better. First, citizenship. As I said at the beginning of this video, the citizenship criteria of San Marino is one of the stringent in the world. But if they can make some adjustment to these rules, even just for footballers, or basis any similar criteria, or even for individual cases, that can help a lot. Like Morocco, they have a lot of world-class players playing for their country, despite not having the citizenship. Or same way having some special permit for some players. This will not only help San Marino having more talents in their pool, but also have their players playing in better leagues and more competitive environments, which could help in increasing the standards of the national team. Which leads us to the second area, the domestic league. San Marino's league has 15 clubs, but even the best ones can hardly beat the teams of Serie C or Serie D. Although you have to understand that it's an Italian league, not some random football league or even a random European league. But that does not stop San Marino from improving their own league to the extent they can. Obviously, the lower population and being a tiny country can't help much, but they can still provide better facilities, create more awareness and promote their league. I know it's all very easy to say, but San Marino is one of the most loved football teams, and if done properly, the league may also attract a huge audience. Online obviously. Scouting players and developing youth systems from academies of clubs will not only help in making their league better, but also be very fruitful for the national team in the future. A shift in mentality, which for a matter of fact has been improved over the last few years, but having more professional players in their team and freeing up all the players to focus more on national team matches and using some of the standards of similar nations who are better than them can be a good idea. Spending more infrastructure, youth development, promoting games, etc. Taking inspiration from different countries for different things can also be helpful. Participating more in tournaments with smaller nations and playing more frequently against countries with closer ranking. Obviously, all of them can only help in giving better results in the future, but that's the only way a weak national team without any talent pool can be improved and lay foundations for much, much longer. All of this will still always be constrained by the size and population of the country, but that doesn't stop them from doing their best and us from hoping for San Marino to be famous for not just worldwide support and passion among its players and fans, but also their footballing achievements, miracles and wins. And no matter how many matches they lose, San Marino's journey will always be special and an inspiration to everyone who loves football. And even if you don't know when they will be able to win their next match, San Marino, at least among the real ones, will always be known more as the most loved footballing nation in the world than the worst football team in the world.